Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is viability. I was having dinner with a really good friend of mine earlier tonight, and we were talking about romance and relationships and love, and particularly that kind of intoxicating, passionate love affair that just you're willing to do anything for. And I was thinking about how, as highly sensitive, empathic women, it's really easy to get sucked into these. And part of the reason for that is that there is something so intoxicating, so delicious, so absolutely like make your toes curl and your feet tingle and your body just warm up into this glow of pure bliss that happens when we are around love, especially that intoxicating romantic love. Because the thing is, we may not really be looking at the other person, and the other person may not really be looking at us. But what we are doing is we're creating this feedback loop of amplified energy where I feel love, they feel love. And as we both feel it, it keeps on mirroring itself and getting bigger and bigger and bigger by that intensity that the mutual feeling of the other person's feelings tends to amplify and increase. So, I mean, seriously, who would not want to do that unless you were extremely practical and clear-headed, even as a young person? I mean, that idea is so delicious. And we live in a culture where there is all of this support for this concept of love. We have movies, we have music, we have stories, we have everything that reinforces this idea of love at first sight, go to any lengths, do whatever it takes, climb any mountain in order for love to happen and to sustain it. And what I realized for myself was that the thing about that kind of love and my willingness to basically sacrifice my heart on the funeral pyre of love again and again and again was that it was like this glorious firework that would just go up into the sky, and it would be beautiful, and then it would just come down and be over. And of course, there would be heartbreak and sadness and all kinds of other stuff on the other side of it. But what happened to me was that there was a point in my 30s where I met this person and started a romantic relationship that had all of the signs of like big magic. The coincidences were off the hook. Like there were so many amazing, like, oh my God. Like, and I'm not talking like, you like vanilla ice cream? Oh my God, I like vanilla ice cream. We must be destined. You know, I'm talking about like wild, wild, wild things where we had never met each other, and where there were all of these ways that we like had no connection to each other whatsoever, and yet there were these ways that we had been orbiting each other for quite a while. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I will just say it was uncanny. And at first, that uncanniness was almost like I took it as a sign from the universe that this was destined. But the thing was that within about a month of us trying to make it work, it became incredibly clear it was not viable. We didn't have the resources to do it. The circumstances were not viable for it. There were all these other factors that were basically making it very clear that it wasn't going to fly. And I am so incredibly grateful that there was this way in which like something just kind of like clicked inside of me, and suddenly I was seeing things with a clarity that I was not going to try to make this work. I wasn't going to force the river because it was so clear it wasn't going to fly. And we fortunately parted amicable ways, and we just kind of accepted that it wasn't going to happen. And that was kind of the end of it. But the thing I am so grateful for about it was the fact that despite all the woo-woo, despite all the magic, despite all the ways that it seemed destined, I understood that practicality, viability, and sustainability was what was going to make it work or not, and that was what I was ultimately looking for. And what I believe is that that is not just about love and relationships. It's not just romance. That it is also about so many other places in our life that while the dream, the fantasy, the desire, the idea, the romantic illusion, that can be really nice, but the practicality, the viability, the really asking the questions of, is this sustainable? Is this doable? Will this fly? That's the thing that is going to make something worth investing in and worth putting time and energy into over time. And I certainly spent time when I was younger not wanting to take the time or to actually look at something from a place of clear, like it was almost like if I looked too carefully, then maybe I'd have to admit that it wasn't the right choice for me. And I would rather just like run, headlong into something impulsively and just sort of damn the torpedoes and consequences be damned, just do it, then actually take a pause, look at it, and ask that question, is this viable? Is this doable? And what I can tell you from my personal experience is that only when I stopped living my life that way, only when I stopped jumping in first and asking questions later, did things start to really fall together. Now, I'm not saying that I am not a quick decision maker, because actually what's interesting is I think in some ways I'm even more able to make decisions very quickly. But the thing is, I make decisions with scrutiny in a way that as a younger person, I just wasn't doing. And one of the big questions I will ask from the start now is it viable? Is it practical? Is it sustainable? So my question to you is, are there places in your life right now where you're not looking at the viability, where the desire for something is so strong that maybe you got your fingers in your ears and you're just like jumping into it anyway? Are there places where the illusion of romance and the passion and the desire to make something happen is just overriding viability, overriding practicality, overriding essentially like mental sobriety? And if that's the case, what did it take in other parts of your life to be willing to look at things from the place of pragmatism instead of just impulse or romance? And what will it take right now to step back a little bit and look and go, is this actually viable? Will this fly? So I'd love to hear what you have to say about all of this. Please leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I am wishing you peace and ease and a clear, sober head for looking at whatever it is that you desire right now. And in the meantime, if you haven't already done it, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jennifer Moore, Modern Medicine Lady. And I would be so incredibly grateful if you would pass this message along to other highly sensitive empathic women and empathic men who would find this message useful. Thank you so much for helping me spread the word, and until I see you probably tomorrow or the next day, peace.